two names, two eras, two legends. Athens and Sparta, they ruled ancient Greece. But behind the glory, there's a secret. These city-states were chalk and cheese. Democracy versus military oligarchy, freedom versus discipline. They ruled the Mediterranean, but couldn't rule together. So why did they clash? Because raising strong leaders meant keeping your rivals strong. Even in those days, it was all about keeping up with the Joneses. Athens, 480 BC, a young woman named Aspasia walks through the bustling Agora marketplace. She's not just any citizen. She's an influential member of the assembly, one of the first democratic assemblies in history. Across town, Leonidas leads his elite Spartan warriors in battle training. Your day starts early with rigorous exercise and martial training. First, let's talk about their governments. Athens was all about democracy, where citizens could vote and debate laws. On one side, you have Athens, the democratic powerhouse with a navy to match. On the other side, Sparta, the disciplined warrior state ready to rumble. The war kicked off in 431 BC and lasted for a whopping 27 years. To put that in perspective, it's longer than World War II and the Cold War combined. Even today, we see echoes of this ancient conflict in our world. The rivalry between Athens and Sparta continues to teach us valuable lessons about politics, society, and human nature. It reminds us that even the greatest powers can fall, and that balance and compromise are essential for a thriving civilization. But who came out on top? Drumroll please, Sparta and their allies. The war left both sides exhausted and vulnerable. Which city-state resonates with you more? Athens, the beacon of democracy, or Sparta, the fortress of military strength? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more captivating journeys through time. Thank you for joining us on this adventure through ancient Greece. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the fascinating stories that have shaped our world. And remember, in the grand tapestry of history, every thread, no matter how small, contributes to the rich fabric of our collective past. It was a draw, but really, no one emerged victorious. The war was so intense that it's considered one of the most important events in ancient history. It changed the political landscape of Greece and left Athens a shadow of its former self. So remember this. Sometimes even superpowers can crumble when they're too busy fighting each other. Sparta, on the other hand, had an oligarchy run by a small group of elite nobles. You gave us the Parthenon, the philosophical wonders, and a taste of freedom that echoed through the ages. But alas, after the Peloponnesian War, you were never the same. Life got tough, and your greatness faded into the annals of history. Next, their economies were like night and day. Athens had a thriving trade network and amassed huge amounts of wealth. Your warriors were the Olympians of the ancient world, embodying strength and strategy. Yet your obsession with war and rigid society became your Achilles' heel. As the world evolved, your tactics remained stuck in time, eventually leading to your decline. Sparta, well, they focused more on military production and agriculture. Athens, you showed the world the power of democracy and the beauty of intellectual pursuits. Your contributions to philosophy, art, and literature continue to inspire today. Sparta, you taught us the value of discipline, strength, and strategic brilliance on the battlefield. Your legacy lives on in the tales of your legendary warriors. Finally, their cultures were complete opposites. Athens was all about arts, literature, and intellectual pursuits. Sparta, on the other hand, was all about martial prowess, strength, and endurance. In short, if Athens was a bustling marketplace, Sparta was a Spartan training ground. Forget playing video games. This is the real deal. Life as a Spartan boy was all about strength, courage, and endurance. You'd learn how to fight, hunt, and basically survive in any condition. But don't worry, you also had time for some friendly competition. Remember those Olympic Games we mentioned earlier? Yeah, Spartans dominated those. Now, as for women, well, they had a different kind of training. Spartan moms were all about making sure their daughters were strong and smart. Unlike Athenian women, Spartan women were free to roam around the city, own property, and even run businesses. Talk about girl power. Now it's time for work. Spartans were all about agriculture and military production. You could be a farmer, blacksmith, or, you guessed it, another soldier. This was no playground. Everyone was expected to contribute to the military might of Sparta. Finally, after a long day of training and working, it's time for dinner. But don't expect any fancy meals here. Spartan food was all about function over flavor. Think lots of vegetables, bread and cheese. No room for fancy desserts here. Overall, life in Sparta was tough, disciplined, and all about serving the state. Now let's see if you can spot the differences between these two societies. His son, the future king of Sparta, watches intently, learning the ways of war. One thing's for sure, their paths will soon collide. Now don't ask me why they didn't send them to Thebes or Corinth. The point is, these twins marked the beginning of two great dynasties. And most importantly, what can we learn from their rise and fall? Well, let's find out. Our story begins not with the clash of armies or the birth of empires, but with babies, twins actually. And no, it wasn't just any ordinary birth. It was the birth of Romulus and Remus, the legendary founders of Rome. Okay, maybe you've heard about them. Now back to our boys. Raised to be leaders, they were sent away to establish their own kingdoms. Well, if you're male, that is. Women had a different, shall we say, quieter life. As a man, you might start your day at the agora, the bustling marketplace, catching up on the latest news and gossip. After that, it's off to the assembly. That's right, democracy in action. You could debate and vote on laws directly with other citizens. Then it's time for work. You could be a merchant, craftsman, or even a soldier, if there's a war going on. Let's not forget about the cultural scene. Athens was all about art, theater, and philosophy. Picture yourself watching a play by Sophocles, or debating ethics with Plato. But wait, there's more. If you're feeling adventurous, you could hop on a boat and explore the Aegean Sea. Thanks to their navy, trade and travel were booming. Life as an Athenian was pretty sweet. Just one small detail, though. You had to be born a male citizen. Women, foreigners, and slaves were left out of this grand democracy. But hey, at least they got to watch the boys in action. Where did they go? You guessed it right. Athens and Sparta. Now, why do you think their parents sent them away? But let's fast forward a few centuries because here's where things get interesting. Ancient Greece might seem like a quaint footnote in world history, but its impact is monumental. It gave us philosophy, democracy, and theatrical masterpieces. But let's talk about the big players, Athens and Sparta, whose rivalry would make or break the ancient world. First, let's look at Athens. Imagine yourself in 500 BC, you're an Athenian citizen. What's your day like? Now picture this. You're in Sparta around the same time. Athens and Sparta might sound like your average gym buddies, but trust me, these guys were total opposites. Now let's talk about the showdown that shook the ancient world, the Peloponnesian War. Imagine it as the ultimate clash of titans. Athens, oh mighty Athens, you were the OG of the Enlightenment era, the birthplace of democracy and the melting pot of ideas. Sparta, the epitome of discipline and military might, you dominated the battlefields of ancient Greece. As we wrap up our journey through time, let's take a moment to appreciate the legacies of these two iconic city-states. But the story doesn't end here. The rivalry between Athens and Sparta has echoed through history, shaping nations, inspiring artists, and influencing philosophers. Now, we want to hear from you. From the fierce discipline of Sparta to the vibrant democracy of Athens, the legacy of these ancient city-states still echoes through history. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow history buffs, and subscribe to HistoroMystic for more stories that shaped our world. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode from the front lines of history. Until next time, stay curious and stay legendary.